behind the cape. First story: John Favreau has some explaining to do for season 3.
Yeah, man. I guess everybody went to sales school when it comes to taking responsibility. Because one first thing that I ever learned when I was selling anything was, hey, look, don't take blame for shit. You don't take anything blame for anything. You just sell the stuff. You don't make it. You're not an expert. Your job is to sell it. Anything else that happens as a result of that, somebody else takes responsibility for that. So, obviously, everybody has gone to sales responsibility school. And seeing it come from a guy that you actually care for, whose content you like, I can't say I care for him. I don't know him. But, like, obviously, I'm a fan of John Favreau. It gets really weird when they work so hard not to just say, hey, yo, I fucked up. We screwed the pooch. We messed up. We overdid it. We didn't deliver. We have to do better. They're allergic to that.
Yeah, because it removes the air of perfection out of the House of Mouse.
Yeah, the thing is, though, the air of perfection is not there. You're holding on to something that doesn't exist anymore. No one thinks you're above reproach anymore. No one thinks that you can't do wrong anymore. That's gone. Give up the facade and let people know that you're actually fixing it. Instead of saying, oh, well, yeah, Mandalorian was never supposed to be Aragorn. And, we were always going to have Bo-Katan basically be Mando season 3. Like, Bo-Katan season 3, basically. And then even if that's the case, if it was your plan all along for Bo-Katan to retake Mandalore and be the leader there and, bring together the Mandalorian factions, why was this show not about Katie Sackhoff and Bo-Katan instead of Din Djarin and the Mandalorian? Huh? Why wasn't Grogu with Bo-Katan instead of Din Djarin then? Why did we watch 2 seasons of Din Djarin and Grogu stories just for Bo-Katan to retake Mandalore? Like it doesn't even make sense at face value. If Katie Sackhoff was meant to be the star, then make her the star. What is this this indirect type of framework to storytelling that you're trying to convince me you do? Now, if it's a thing of like I can't throw my bosses under the bus, I can't say necessarily what the real is. Okay, you know what the easiest thing to do with that then is? But for the life of me, folks, well-intentioned or otherwise, stop talking yourselves into holes that are easily disproven. It is like instantly discrediting. How am I supposed to believe a word that ever comes out of your mouth if it's that easy for you to just lie? Or blame something erroneous like, oh, well, I see how a lot of people may have thought that he was going to be an Aragorn type character.
Spoilers.
Yeah, definitely spoilers for Lord of the Rings if you haven't watched it. But Aragorn from the Lord of the Rings series was a scout mercenary who ended up being hired to help transport Frodo and the rest of the hobbits to Mordor to destroy the ring. And it turns out along the series that Aragorn is actually royalty and he's heir to the throne. And through all his trials and tribulations throughout the series, he ends up being the king again, right? As was destined, as what was prophesized. And so he goes from low morality, cutthroat to royalty, and that's his ascension, right? I mean, it kind of sounds like Din Djarin. Kind of sounds like I started out just kind of doing this for money. Didn't really want to have to deal with any of my, my historical woes or my cultural oppression or anything like that. I'm just kind of out here making money. And then all of a sudden I start getting involved in these causes that's, for the greater good. And then that eventually leads me back to what was supposed to be in the first place, which is me leading and bringing everybody back together. Damn, if that don't sound like where we was going with the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. We run into Bo-Katan. We run into Luke Skywalker. We run into Ahsoka Tano. Right? Like, we're getting all of these different factions of people who may need to coalesce versus a big foe, maybe in Dave Filoni's movie. Or is that not it? Is that no? Am I completely off base? Okay. Then why the fuck was it Mandalorian meeting all these people? Why did he meet Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan, all potential factions of people who are going to help fight Thrawn, right? The next big bad in Star Wars. And don't forget your man's Boba Fett. That's who I was forgetting. Don't forget Boba Fett. Who's the linchpin to all of those pieces? Ahsoka, Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker, and Bo-Katan. Din Djarin is the glue to all of them. Just like Aragorn was the link between Gandalf, the Hobbits, obviously the human armies that end up playing a role towards the end of that movie. The elves and his relationship with the elven princess. All of that shit plays a role in how they end up defeating the orcs in the final battle. Doesn't happen without Aragorn. Aragorn is the one who convinces them all to fight together. Him and Gandalf. But again, I don't want to give you a review of Lord of the Rings here. But yeah, man, it's like, yeah, I'll throw out these nuggets, right? And that was clearly my plan, but now we've had to adjust. And rather than admitting that, maybe some things were changed or we went in a different direction, I'm just going to cover my own ass so that I don't have to take any responsibility for it and try to convince you, a person who's probably tried to map some of this out prior to all of this happening, and just flick you off and say, fuck you, you don't know what you're talking about. Basically, your brain doesn't work the way you think it does.
Well, I mean, doing season 3 obviously led way for Jack Black and Lizzo to also fight the big bad as well.
I mean, and I can't even say that the Jack Black and Lizzo thing was so out of character. I think the way that they portrayed and their roles in the show was out of character, but having the cameo wasn't. We had that damn Bill Burr in season 1 of Mandalorian within like the first 3 episodes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like let's not act like they haven't, taken some chances on some of these cameos. And that was a prominent role too. The difference is that Jack Black and Lizzo got to talk. Bill Burr got to do something. He was a character of consequence. He played a role in the episode he was in. That feels like somebody else is influencing who gets chosen to be on the show and why. Because the first time it was a B-list level comedian who ended up playing a very good character in the show because they gave him something to do that was consequential to the plot. And then 2 seasons later, we got Jack Black and Lizzo who are there to smile and I guess that's it. Oh, yeah, and play with Baby Yoda. That's the difference.
Yikes.
Don't tell me that was the plan all along, man. Come on, bro.
Yikes.
Come on, man. You don't even have to do it. We all know it's not true.
One thing that we didn't talk about pre-meeting is The Boys season 4.
Oh, yeah.
Is not coming until after the writer's strike.
We've got to kill all the soups,
which
you
gives
bloody
me plenty
choker.
of time to finish the series. I've already started it, but I'm only 3 episodes in.
You're a damn disappointment, princess.
No, bro. When 4 comes out, we will be here reviewing it.
Vort's out here passing off their V every goddamn day, creating new soups everywhere you turn, and you haven't even watched all the seasons.
No, bro.
Well, why don't you pull your thumb out of your ass and get it together?
By the time season 4 comes, we will be ready to review.
I'm Billy Butcher.
Superman Legacy.
Oh, yeah, cast. They cast.
The thing that James Gunn's entire DC legacy is hinged upon now.
I don't think he thought that when he started it. It is absolutely clear now that Superman hinges everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, Superman is being played by none other than David Cornsweet. Cornsweet.
Boy, they let a man named Cornsweet be Superman. That's crazy. That is crazy.
To be fair, it is Cornsweet.
It's Cornsweet.
But we will now be calling him Cornsweet.
Yeah, let's just be honest. His name is Cornsweet.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, his legal name is Cornsweet, but he has never not been Cornsweet until probably he got famous. That's probably when it started being Cornsweet instead of Cornsweet.
Correct. Absolutely. And Rachel Brosnahan will be playing Lois Lane.
Rachel Brosnahan. That name sounds very familiar.
It does. And so we are going to go through and see what she has played. I think we did this before when we actually ran through the list of possibilities. She's in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. She's in House of Cards. And I think I said that before, and you were like, who is she?
Yeah, I remember her. Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
And I'm sure she was in some other stuff. She was in none of these that I recognize as far as movie-wise. But let's see. She was in Black Box, The Blacklist. She was in Orange is the New Black for one episode. House of Cards. She was in a few things. So,
shout out to Lois.
yes. So, Rachel Brosnahan, David Corenswet. Those are our Superman and Lois Lane for Superman Legacy, which I think Corenswet has a Superman-esque look to him. I think some people think
I think he could do it.
he may be a little bit thinner, but I think he still kind of gives that.
He's going to put on
Cavill
40
look.
pounds of muscle, and he's not going to eat sugar for 2 years. He'll be fine.
Honestly, he still already has that Cavill look to him, or that Superman-esque look to him.
He looks like a very accurate Superman.
His
I
face
think
is very square.
Yeah, I think the challenge, even with Cavill, has been taking this towering figure, this dynamo, and trying to kind of normalize him in the Clark Kent persona, to where it's not so painfully obvious. Because that's been one of the biggest fucking, at least for me, the biggest Superman snafus. Is one of the things that keeps me from fully engaging with that character, is because he literally changes nothing about his appearance. Like, I mean, absolutely nothing. He puts on fucking glasses and everybody walks around and pretends they don't know that they're looking at Superman. So I feel like in that, what you can do thematically is maybe take a guy who's less physically imposing and maybe get someone who's a better Clark Kent and then soup him up. I feel like that's a better route than taking a athletic, huge monster of a human like Henry Cavill.
6 foot plus white man with a prominent jawline.
Fucking bodybuilder. Look like he's been eating rocks all day. And now you put him in a flannel and glasses, and I'm supposed to be like, oh yeah, no, he's harmless. That's just Clark. And he's a gentle giant. No, he looks like he chops down trees for a living.
Yeah.
Just because he put on the brown sports jacket and a flannel doesn't change what you're looking at when you see him walk through there. Brock Lesnar puts on a goddamn turtleneck. He's still Brock Lesnar. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So maybe that's kind of where they were going. Like, they needed somebody who could find that happy medium.
So
Between
basically, we're trying to Robert Pattinson.
Yeah. Well,
Superman.
see, my thing is Robert Pattinson is an awful Bruce Wayne so far, at least. So far, he was a damn good Batman. Mm-hmm. Really good True Detective. Just bad billionaire playboy. I mean, he looked like he was an anxiety-driven, coked out goth boy in that movie.
That's what he looks like normally. That is his aesthetic.
But I mean, as like Bruce Wayne, though, like it wasn't flashy enough for me, in my opinion. Sense. It wasn't like giving off, I'm rich and careless. He was literally mirroring the movements, the attitude, the swagger of the secret identity he's supposed to have in that movie. They walked the same. It was really weird. You saw Batman walking in the beginning of the movie where he beats those criminals. He comes out of the dark, brutally assaults some presumably mentally ill patients. Anyways, and then he walks into, I think it's like the funeral, one of the funerals he went to. He's walking the same exact way. The same way he kind of walked out of the shadows. Doom, doom. It's the same way he's walking down the aisles as he's passing the pews at the funeral. Doom, doom, doom. He's always scowling. He's always got the tip of his forehead pointed towards the ground. Mm-hmm. He's like never happy. You are the richest man in this entire city. Why do you never smile? You look like somebody who's depressed that puts on a suit at night and goes and beats up poor people. That's not really who Bruce Wayne is. Bruce Wayne was able to hide so effectively because his alter ego was so much of a stark difference from who his actual self was. We didn't get that in the first movie, and that's kind of what I think maybe is the thinking with this casting. He's already more of a frailer individual. If they don't Hugh Jackman him or Christian Bale and make him put on 60 pounds, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe you CGI a little bit more of the muscles. I mean, Robert Pattinson didn't really work out all that much.
Yeah.
And so, but, you know, depending on who you talk to, that was a good or a bad thing. I mean, I definitely feel like his physique was more suit than it was body in the Batman. That's fine for the first movie because he's just supposed to be breaking in. It'll probably be fine for the first movie with Superman Legacy. So I think it's just an idea of trying to mesh the two halves a little bit better, because it's like, yeah, billionaire playboy philanthropist who's also built like an ox, right? And look like he's capable of some sort of martial artistry or something like that. Looks like he could definitely throw a boulder over his head. Oh, that's definitely not Batman. It's not like he has all the time, money, and resources at his disposal to go out here and fight crime and be a vigilante.
Yeah.
Don't make it too obvious.
Yikes. Anthony Mackie. Anthony Mackie basically said that, you know, if a actor's strike is to come, that film studios will be sure to give a quick deal because, after all, what are they going to do? Get a whole bunch of YouTubers to play in Avengers 5? Mackie, I will gladly take Mark from RDC World over you any day at this point.
Hey, listen, man. Okay, so it's propaganda. It's pro writers, pro actors propaganda in lieu of the strike. But boy, Anthony Mackie will say something that makes sense. Like, we don't have to have all of the black producers, directors, and actors only in Wakanda. We're allowed to branch out and do other things. Like, the fact that you only want black people to work in Wakanda is probably a problem. Okay, that sounds great. And then he'll be like, yeah, but only Chadwick can play T'Challa. I was like, He'll be like, oh yeah, you know, Harry Potter ain't got no black friends. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. Just dude from How to Get Away with Murder, and he barely had 5 lines in the entire time he was there.
Yeah.
And then he'll be like, oh, yuck. If you don't pay the actors what they want, you're going to have YouTubers on the movies. As if there is an entire class of unemployed actors, right, who aren't getting Hollywood roles, who aren't headlining Marvel movies, that would take that job for pennies on the dollar. Like, literally a quarter of what you are being offered, even in lieu of the strike.
Across the world, might I add.
Because, again, let's be clear. These strikes, these arrangements that they have going with the studio, they don't help the actor that's waitressing 7 days a week just so that they can keep living in LA and hopefully get discovered. They're not helping the actors doing local soap operas or stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're not helping anybody who's putting content on public access TV. No, man. They're helping their Hollywood elitist class stay in a more advantageous position in terms of what's negotiated in their contracts, which I don't begrudge them for. But let's be clear. Like, let's put this in perspective. These are the top elite of the elite, belong to the Screenwriters Guild type of creators and creatives. This is not the people who are producing your local news station. So don't tell me that if you can't play Captain America tomorrow, oh, who are you going to get to do it? We all striking. Shit. If I'm an actor that's been in LA for 5 years trying to get a role, and all of a sudden Anthony Mackie wants to play tough and play chicken with the studio and saying, who else going to do it? Oh, okay. Bet I take my savings, hire a personal trainer, and go try out. I bet I do.
Yeah.
Symbol of truth, my ass. You got me fucked up.
I'm sure there's another British actor waiting in the shadows to take your job, bro.
They want it too. They're hungry for it.
They're watching how to speak American English very well.
They're watching 4 or 5 of you eat up all the roles around Hollywood, TV and movies, and saying, "Oh, you think you gonna not work and hold them hostage? I'm Captain America now. Look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now.
That's crazy. That is wild. Yeah, no, that's facts though.
Yeah, don't say that, brother.
They are waiting to take that role. Some people believe that Secret Invasion is indicating like the darker direction that Marvel might go into, especially with properties like Daredevil and
It better.
Blade coming up.
It better. Well, Blade's not coming up.
Yeah.
Blade is literally not coming up. Until I see some set photos for Blade, nothing is happening on that movie.
Yeah. But
yeah,
maybe this is the darker direction that you have alluded to time and time again, possibly.
They better. They better. And what's crazy to me is that like we can't even talk about a middle of the road MCU property, which is what Secret Invasion is, and theorize the way that we used to because we're too busy parrying the people. This fucking sucks. It sucks even more than episode 2. You know, I heard the same conversation about Mandalorian season 3 today, and it was like, yeah, no, it wasn't great. It was far behind the first 2 seasons. Was everything we saw out of this season terrible? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But people are so much more inclined to just say, oh, it sucks, it's terrible, it's the worst thing ever. You know what I'm saying? Because that is what your reputation is. The longer it takes them to realize what their real reputation is, there's the faux reputation, right? The historical one, the one you post on all your marketing and advertising boards, the ones that your establishment, trades, and media default to. And then there's the real one, the one that's palpable, the one that you can see bubbling up underneath the film of bullshit that all those companies provide for you.
Yeah.
Right? So the real reputation is in the toilet. It's already been flushed down the toilet and made its way out to the main line. It's in the water treatment plant now. You are being let out into Lake Erie. That's where your reputation is. So the longer it takes them to realize where they actually are and not just where people expect them to be, the more they'll suffer. So yeah, I hope this is a signal to things to come. I hope this is a sign of reorganization or refocusing. Because if not, then we quite honestly may not be looking at any new MCU projects in the next 5 years. Yeah. They simply cannot continue to hemorrhage money the way that they are. No matter how much they believe in the projects, no matter how much they have in the pipeline. That's another thing that I keep hearing people here and say, oh, that Ray movie's definitely coming out. It's too far along. Okay. If you didn't believe me when I said it a year ago, if you don't believe me when I said it 2 years ago, 3 years ago when we started the Recast T'Challa thing, right? Believe me now. These folks are not going to allow them to keep raking in their investment money and flushing it down the toilet and not receiving money back in. Yep. It's not going to happen. Damn woke, damn racism, damn any of that shit. The only thing that is going to get a chokehold around Bob Iger and the rest of the executives at Disney is money. We've watched that stock plummet from when they announced Disney Plus to, it was well over 100, might have been close to 150 at that time, to now down around 80. Is where the stock price is at. That is hundreds of millions of dollars worth of value lost. It's not a simple thing. It's more than the culture war stuff. It's more than overzealous YouTubers screaming woke at the top of their lungs so that they can cash in on the misery. There are real fissures in the company right now, and I've been saying that for years now. I hope y'all start believing me.
Yeah. Okay, so Jonathan Majors has kind of gone through quite a few updates in the case, and we've kind of discussed some of them, specifically with Chillmonger in the last live stream.
Yeah, sure.
But it would seem that A, there's a Rolling Stones article that's out there, and B, seems to be a hot topic because some of the other Marvel actors are discussing it. Just like my guy, your guy, our guy, Anthony Mackie.
Well, you know what? We talk about him when he do wrong, so we definitely gonna talk about him now. Because this was. It's not even really like a let's stand up and applaud him for saying this. It's just like a common sense take. It's really just
obvious.
Like he literally hasn't been convicted of anything, And probably he's thinking in the back of his mind is like, everything I've seen so far, it makes him look better and better. Like, come on, man. The three worst moments for Major, well, I can't even say that there were three. Outside the initial arrest. The two worst moments for Majors in this entire trial was the initial mention of there being cooperating witnesses, and then the text messages that his lawyer initially released. You can't even say that the prosecution has consistently painted him in a bad light because one of the negative things came from his side.
Yeah.
And then
that
even
was more of a backfire situation.
Yeah, like it's like nothing. There has been nothing, and I mean nothing, that has driven me to the point of saying, yeah, no, I know he did that. There hasn't been anything presented that is empirical enough for me to say, yeah, no, that, like, I can't refute that. That happened. Strangulation charge gone. Strangulation charge gone. Right? We're looking at her at the police body cam footage moments after she's being taken out of a closet, and I don't see not a single restraint mark on her neck. We got the videos of her using her hand. We got the videos of her exiting the vehicle and her and Jonathan Majors separating. So if it didn't happen in the car like she said it did, it couldn't have happened. It literally couldn't have happened. Unless the DA is holding secret that Jonathan Majors paid to have a secret tunnel put in his Manhattan apartment, his Chelsea apartment, and that nobody else knew about, and he crawled through that hole all the way back up to his apartment, smacked her up, locked her in the closet, snuck back down out of that hole, drove back to his apartment, got the handyman, had him unlock the door and act like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone.
Not a thing.
That it's just like, if you're still hanging on to the idea that he might have abused her, that's the type of level of conspiracy I feel like we're in right now.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to talk about past history, patterns of behavior, and things of that nature, that is a conversation for another day. Because what we are here to discuss is whether or not he did what is being accused to Stephanie McMahon.
Stephanie McMahon.
Vince's daughter.
Because she creates stories about violence?
And it's like she's getting so much birth that she's allowed to work further and further back from her original story. Not to mention, they took the evidence that they had, being Priya Chaudhry and Jonathan Majors, to another precinct, the precinct where the altercation actually happened in Chinatown. They found they found probable cause for an arrest that same day. Couldn't arrest her because she was out of the country. Does any of that matter to anyone? Does that matter to you? If you came into this trying to be objective, or if you came into this already thinking that Majors was guilty, does it matter to you that another police precinct in New York, where the crime actually happened, found reason to arrest this woman, and she's conveniently out of the country? No one has a problem with that.
Looks a little sketchy.
And no one has a problem with the fact that the NYPD precinct that arrested Majors didn't find probable cause for Stephanie's arrest, but Chinatown did. No one's questioning. No one cares. You don't care? How can one cop come up with an arrest and another one be like, nah, that's not how the law works. It's not based off of opinion. Discretion is a very little part of carrying out the law. The law is the law. Did you or did you not? Do I have reason to believe reasonably that you may have?
Especially when said cops were acting with alleged bias, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm alleging bias and then I'm able to show you that another group of cops who I'm not calling biased came up with an arrest for the other person, and you are still trying to prosecute me, doesn't that make my claim of bias feel a little bit stronger? You have to show a clear pattern of bias. It starts with the arrest. It starts with the lack of follow-up on the information that I offered you.
Agreed.
So, to bring that all back around, shout out to Anthony Mackie for being sensible, I believe. You know, it's a hit or miss, baby. He's either giving us some gems or he's whole big toe back there by the molar. Just
He's
all
either
up in
Tupac or Captain America.
Yeah. I think that was the last one. Give us your thoughts on everything discussed here in Behind the Cape. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Come back next week for another Behind the Cape episode.
Make sure you check out our previous Behind the Cape video where we discussed Jonathan Majors a little bit more in detail. And then also make sure you subscribe. We like to do this at least once a week.